Good morning. This is Chip Taylor coming to you from southwestern Ukraine. I have a small organic farm here called Your Farm, and what we do is we grow what you would grow if you had the land and the space and the time and the experience. And we've got this small farm, and then we've also got a small company called Abuelo Salsa. And we make salsas, we make tortillas, masa, a few other authentic Mexican ingredients. And we do prepare some meals. That's kind of changed a little bit since the pandemic because it's hard to deliver food now. But what I'm doing today is I wanted to give you a short tour of the farm and talk a little bit about what we do. I'm in one of the smaller greenhouses. Got a little bit of spinach going here. I've got a couple of beds ready to do a little bit more. This spinach that I'm going to put in here will germinate, but it's not going to grow until after the first of the year. And so this will be early spinach that'll be ready probably before most other farmers will have spinach ready. This spinach that I've got growing over here, I could harvest this now. It's baby leaf spinach. I'd rather let it get a little bit bigger and give a better yield. I've still got tomatoes here. I've still got blooms coming up on tomatoes. These are not going to ripen up and turn red. I'm going to keep them for a little bit longer and then I'm going to pull them out. Most of this stuff, all of this larger bed here was tomatoes, and we pulled that a few weeks ago. And we'll make salsa and marinara sauce out of that. And then one more thing I wanted to talk about. This is the residue from the tomatoes and some of the weeds, and we keep this in our greenhouse along with the straw. The straw we use to cover up the beds as a mulch, and it's also weed suppression, keeps moisture in the soil, that kind of stuff. This residue, what we'll do with that is give it to the animals later. As the weather changes and the frosts begin to come, it'll allow our livestock to have nutritious food all year long, all winter long especially. Last year, the year before last, we had our first frost on September 27th. This year we still haven't had a frost. Today is October 16th. This is one of our other beds. Got a couple of apple trees, a big walnut tree. This is another bed that I turned over, and we'll cover this with plastic tarp to keep the weed seeds from coming in, and it'll keep the soil from eroding. It'll keep the rain from leaching out the nutrients, that kind of stuff. You might see a chicken or two running around. We free range our chickens. They're locked up at night, but during the day we allow our chickens to be chickens. I've got a couple of Vietnamese pigs that are sleeping in. These pigs are pets. I would not have them, but my wife likes them. And so we've kept them on. It's Wednesday and Pugsley. And then I've got a good bit of arugula going here. I'll cover this over. Last year, year before last, we had arugula into early February. And so arugula doesn't mind the frost and cold weather quite as much. I've got another large white pig in here. You can hear her, but she ain't coming out because it's a little cool for her. These pigs are producers of manure. That's pretty much their whole job. And then we've got Bob, the cat. Bob is here. He works, takes care of pests. You can see one of the chickens here. This bed will be garlic, would be garlic already, but it's been a little wet. But we'll cover this, we'll put garlic in, cover it up with straw, and I'll harvest that in June or July, something like that. Now this is our bigger greenhouse. And this is where we grow most of our peppers. And you can see we've still got a good bit of peppers going. I've got some habaneros that are still very small. They're not going to do anything this year, but they will next year. I've got spinach and lettuce germinating, but again, that's not going to produce this year. It'll produce after the first of the year, February, March, that kind of stuff, before anybody else has it. And then I've got a good bit of peppers here. We've got some hatch. You can see a few of them starting to turn red. We've got some hatch here. We've got some bell peppers. Some more habaneros. Over here are some Thai peppers, some jalapenos, and farther down we've got some more bell peppers. We've got zucchini still putting out blooms. Well, I'm going to pull these guys. You can see there's a good bit of powdery mold on this, on these leaves. I'm not going to treat it with chemicals. I'm just going to pull it out. It's done producing anyway. And then we'll put all this at the end of the greenhouse. And again, we store this. It's like storing up hay. We're going to give this stuff to the animals during the year, during the winter. And then I've got a couple of more beds here. This will be spinach. This second one will be spinach. And then I've got some parsley going. There's some more habaneros down on the end. You can see a little bit. I've got one more corn stalk. And then I've got another small one right here behind me. The corn, not necessarily for producing food for us, mostly for the livestock, but corn actually attracts aphids. And I don't mind the aphids on the corn. It keeps them away from the peppers and tomatoes. Tomatoes we pulled out a few weeks ago. All right, I've got some basil going. There's some new radishes down on the end. Parsley here. The basil is a little bit bigger, but we're keeping it because, again, it keeps down the pest. We won't pull that out. Probably won't pull it out at all. We'll probably just let it winter kill, and then it'll come back in the spring. Now, here's what I wanted to talk to you about. You know, the whole world's turned upside down with this mess. Whether you believe it's a hoax, whether you believe it's real, doesn't make any difference. But everything's changed. And the focus has allowed a lot of people to reevaluate their lives and where they are. When I got to this place, when I came to this farm, it was less than efficient. Let me put it that way. And it was because of the motivation of the people that were here. This was an alcohol and drug rehab, but basically it was a homeless shelter, a flop house for alcoholics. There was not any real recovery. There was not any real motivation to change. And the work ethic here was less than it could be. And so what we've done is we've made this place into a treatment facility using the 12 steps based on the Minnesota model. And all of that jargon really doesn't mean anything. When you come here, you need to want to get better. And you need to be motivated. And we'll help you with some motivation, but you need to want to recover. What I'm here to do is to help people change their direction, no matter what the direction is. And the food falls into that same category. We help people find good, healthy food that's tasty, that is also good for the environment, is sustainable. Like I said, we don't use any petroleum-based products. We don't use man-made fertilizers. We don't use pesticides that are man-made. We use a lot of organic stuff. Our animals are fed organically as is possible in this country. It's hard to find organic chicken feed that's at a price that you can afford. And there's one more thing that I want to talk about. There's a pasture out in front of the property here. It's probably maybe 6 acres, and the community uses it. They bring their cows down here and they graze their cows in this nice lush grass. But it's owned by the obelisk. It's owned by the county, and so it can't be bought. It can't be sold. Can't be fenced off. That kind of stuff. But anybody can come and they can graze on it. Well, it can't be certified organic because it's owned by an entity that, number one, won't spend the money for it, and number two, they don't need to. And so when I graze my horse or my goats or my chickens go over there and they eat that grass, because it's not certified organic, I can't use that manure to grow certified organic products. Now, I'm not going to say that's unreasonable. I'm going to say it's unrealistic because it's poop. And so I take the poop from my animals and I put it in the soil, or I compost it, and then I use it on the soil in order to grow organic products. If that's not okay with you, that's fine. I understand. Believe me. But in order to be transparent and completely honest about what it is that we do, because there's a lot of things that we are, dishonest is not one of them. And so we come here to be accountable to the customer. Now, when I was in the U.S., I had a small organic chicken farm. We had almost 1,000 hens, and we fed them organic feed, and we grazed them on organic pasture. But I did not get certified because and it's not about the money, but it's about integrity. It would cost me $750 a year to have my farm, that was 6 acres, to have it certified organic. And what certification meant was that I had a third-party company that would come to you and say and tell you that I have integrity. Okay? And so what I did instead of that is that I would have my customers come to the farm, do a tour, look at what I feed the animals, do a soil sample if you want. I will pay for it. And then I would give you $5 worth of product, usually a dozen eggs. And that way it was between me and you. And I didn't have to have you go to another person to say, does Chip grow organically? Does Chip treat his animals correctly? Does Chip care about the environment? This way it's between me and you. And so one of the purposes of this video, not just as a tour, but is to let you know that if you want to come here and look at the farm and see what it is that we do and make up a decision whether or not this is produce that you would like to consume or give to your family, fine, come on out. I'll give you tortillas, I'll give you salsa, I'll give you some peppers, and you can see, yes, this is the type of product that I would like to purchase myself. I would like to feed my family. And we have integrity. I don't believe that I need to have someone else come and say, yes, this is what he says it is. I believe, most of you know who I am. Most of you know what I am. And I'd be more than happy to have you come and look at the place if you wish. Feel free. And I'll feed you while you're here. That's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. The other one is, everything is changing now, and it would be really good if we all took this as an opportunity to reevaluate our priorities and what's important to us.